Welcome to Commander Tunes for the Nitpicking Nerds.
This time we're upgrading Trevor's Torens Humans +1/+1 counter deck.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. Who else? We got daily Commander content, so if you want to subscribe to the channel, we'd appreciate it. But if you want to support the channel, patreon.com is the best way to do it.
Yes, you can support us directly with money. Other ways to support us indirectly would be our TCG player affiliate link in the description below. Click that link, go to the website, and guess what, Beezy?
What?
They spend the same amount of money, but we get a kickback. So they don't have to do anything except for buy the cards they were going to get anyway, and we get supported. What else can they do?
I was going to ask you.
Oh, I didn't know you were going to ask me. DragonShield.com is the other affiliate link. There's an EU and a US link. Go there, pick whichever link fits to where you live, and then buy some awesome sleeves. Some would even call them the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
And then we get a kickback. Again, you spend $0 extra.
And I have to extend a special happy birthday to everyone whose birthday is today, along with all pets whose birthdays are today.
Happy birthday, pets and people. So, what are we doing today, Beezy?
It's Commander Tune-Up. When you join a certain Patreon tier, you get a free little bonus, which is an entire video dedicated to you and a deck that you want to upgrade. So we're going to upgrade Trevor's deck here under all of his restrictions and budgetary requirements. And it's going to be great.
Yeah. So today, the restrictions are budget. Only $100 in ads. We can do that. It's one of the strictest budgets we've had in a while. Stipulations. This has to be humans. This has to be +1/+1 counters. Easy enough. Combat over combos. Simple enough. We can also do that. And it wants to be on the higher end of combat deck powers with about an 8-ish power level. Before we get into any specifics with this deck, we of course have to read the commander, who today is Torens. 1 green-white for a 2/2 with training. Whenever you cast a creature spell, make a 1/1 token creature with training.
And the token is a human.
So the theme of this deck is obviously counters and tokens. But we have to turn that into a victory and actually, weaponize that somehow. Because if we just play counters and tokens, that's not going to necessarily have to win. So what's the game plan of this deck?
We're going to use counters, pumps, and evasion to punch through extremely large amounts of damage.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, we're going to make our creature so big that it doesn't matter. We're going to sneak through with evasions. We can't be blocked. Give them trample and get through to win the game.
Yeah, you say sneak, it's going to be not subtle.
It's not going to be subtle. There's the chunks of damage we're going to do are going to be sometimes entire life totals that haven't lost a single point all game. So, before we get into this is for everyone else who isn't the deck creator. We have to tell you what the best cards in the deck were. What was this deck doing so well that, we just had to build around these cards already? First card, Skull Clamp, was already in the deck. This card's incredible. We're making 1/1 tokens all the time. Do I have to, BZ, did you know? Skull Clamp, good magic card.
Skull Clamp, good. 1/1's good with Skull Clamp. You don't have to attack. You can control when they get bigger. So if you have Skull Clamp in your hand or you draw it, every token you make from then on is just fodder until you win the game.
Yeah, and another creature for making more tokens, Adeline. This card is insane at making tokens. She's a 3-drop, but whenever a creature you control attacks anyone, you make a 1/1 attacking everyone. So you get 3 1/1s every single time. Sometimes they'll get eaten. Sometimes they won't. This card is so strong. Torens is one of the best token maker creatures we've ever seen. Adeline is also one of the best token making creatures we've ever seen. And on top of that, she's making humans for our theme.
Yeah, our friend recently needed a replacement for Brimaz, which I just think is like a bad card. But Adeline, I was like, hey, this is the same mana cost. Compare these cards because it is like mind-blowing power creep.
Yeah, it is actually insane. This card is so good. Esper Sentinel, human, holds counters extremely well. Card draw, it's literally just like everything this deck wants in a 1-drop. But you can't ask for more out of a 1-drop in this deck.
And a card that goes ham with Adeline and Torens and all these doofuses. Kytheon's Crusade. All our tokens are basically now of equal value because they're going to pump our entire team when we make stuff. After we play this, every creature is 2 triggers. Adeline, 3 triggers by herself.
I mean, Kytheon's Crusade with Torrent is just so crazy. You're not making 1/1s anymore. You're making your whole board a threat every time you cast a creature. This card has to be answered in this deck or you're going to win. And one of the best creature finishers of all time also was in this deck, Creator of Behemoth. We're going wide. If you want a way to finish a game when you're going wide, Creator of Behemoth is the go-to, the quintessential game ender of Commander.
It's so good that if your budget was higher, Trevor, I'd recommend just splurging for Natural Order and just having 2 Crater Hoofs in your deck.
Yeah, I mean, Torens makes, if I didn't mention it before, but Torens makes green-white humans, so you can just sack one of them to Natural Order. That's super duper strong. All right, so now we're going to 1-for-1 cuts. What card do we cut, and what card do we put in its place? First, a little ramp to start it off. Soul Talisman's pretty bad. Actually, Trevor messaged me and he said he already had switched it out for Heliod. And I'm like, well, I would cut Heliod either way because I don't think Heliod fits the theme of this deck. So you can either Soul Talisman or Heliod, whichever one was cut here. And we added Nature's Lore. This is just, it's going in almost every green deck I ever make. It's just one of the best ramp spells we have.
Every time we see a green deck with 3 visits and not Nature's Lore or vice versa, we're just going to put the other one in.
I mean, for me, Nature's Lore is Arcane Signet that can't be destroyed.
Yep. Because it perfectly fixes you.
It's so good.
Savannah's in this deck, so it just goes and gets Savannah.
Yeah, or you get Temple Guard, or you just get a Forest when it doesn't matter. The card is just so good. Cut land tax. We're in a green deck. We're going to be ramping lands once in a while.
Yeah, this isn't even ramp. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but I just put it in the ramp slot because that's kind of what it is. In a white deck that just wants to hit land drops every single turn, it kind of fits a ramp slot. Every time you would miss a land drop, it makes you not miss it. But regardless, it's terrible in the green deck. I think this has 0 home in green decks. We were ramping lands at all. In land tax's place, we added Kodama of the West Tree. We have a +1/+1 counters theme, and I think every single +1/+1 counters theme wants Kodama of the West Tree. Not only does it give your creatures trample, which is great, every time you hit with any creature with a counter on it, you're just getting a land into play. This can ramp you out of control so quick. This card is amazing.
Yeah, you cast Torens on turn 3, then you can cast Kodama on turn 4. You get a training soldier or human, and then next turn Torens is going to train by Kodama, getting a counter. That's 1. Plus the human you made is going to train. That's 2. And then from there you just snowball and the game's over.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're really going to get so many lands off of this so quickly. If we can just keep casting creatures over and over again, we're going to go so wide so quick, it's going to be over. Next, we did a little bit of removal, a little bit of removal changing. We took out Disenchant, which we don't need Disenchant because we can play things like Kytheon Commando, which is going to cost us 1 more mana, but it's a creature to trigger Torens. It's a human on top of that for all the humans payoffs in this deck. It's just, I'll gladly pay 1 more mana to get a body in this deck.
2 bodies.
Well, yeah, you're right. 2 bodies because Torens is going to trigger.
We also got Ortithopter, which is a 0 mana 0/2 flyer. I get why it's here. It's a 0 mana trigger on Torens. I just don't think we need to go for that. Outland Liberator is what we added. It's like the same exact card as Kytheon Commando, minus flash, plus the ability of maybe it'll flip and you get a 2-for-1.
Yeah, it's, again, just more creatures for removal. I mean, Ornithopter was fine, but it's just not that interesting in this deck. We also got Lightning Greaves. Didn't feel like it fit this deck really well. There was like some cute little things with like Catilda that it could do, but overall, we don't need to protect our commander. He costs 3 mana. This deck is fine at ramping. It's unnecessary overall. So in its place, we had a Giant Killer. This card is super duper awesome. We already had in the deck Ranger Captain of Eos, and we're going to see that we might have added the other one to the deck. So this makes for that package to be even better. And it's a human actually.
Yeah, Swiftfoot Boots, same thing as Greaves, but worse. But we traded it for by invitation only, which is some more much needed removal. If we have the most creatures, which we always will, then it's going to be basically a one-sided board wipe.
This deck was lacking any board wipes. Even in your creature-based decks, you need a board wipe. You're not going to be the one who always gets out to the biggest lead. That's just not how everything works. And sometimes you just need to wipe the board, and it's nice to have these. Also, we cut Cemetery Protector. Think the card's bad. I think it's unique and fine. It probably is fine. But we had room. This is one of those cards. It's like one of the last cuts.
It's a Commander Cube card.
Yeah, it's a totally fine middle of the ground. I got it out of a pack, building my trade binder deck card. Usually, if I'm upgrading at all, it's not making it. Added in Austere Command, perfect for this deck. Our Torens cost 3 or less. All of our tokens cost 3 or less. Sure.
Every card we added, I think, so far cost 3 or less.
Yeah, and most of our things cost 3 or less, so it's going to be a nice wipe. We're going to wipe big creatures. We're going to wipe artifacts, or we're going to wipe enchantments, depending on what's the threat. And that's going to be awesome for this deck because we get to keep our token army.
Bailout, we just answer all creatures and accept that we got a mediocre rate.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to do that, and it works fine.
Vigor is gone. Vigor cares about our creatures taking damage. It's not a human. All these things just make me not want to play it, and it's 6 mana. So we put in Macias the Lunarch. That's a human that cares about +1/+1 counters. All we got to do is play it for 1. Then over the course of the game, we build it up, and then boop, 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 just put counters on our whole team until they're dead.
Yeah, I think Macias is it's a super awesome card. You continually play it out for 1 or 2 early game, and then it just incremental value throughout the game. If you play it on 1, it goes every other turn for the rest of the game. You get to put a +1 counter on your whole team. I will take that. That's pretty powerful. Plus, you're going to be augmenting its power with counters in other ways, so that you can just basically every turn Cavity Township your entire team. We cut Sword of Truth and Justice. Cute. Medium.
I kind of hate this card. The more I see it, the more I don't like it.
BZ really hates this card. I think it's really medium too, so I mean, we're cutting it. It's an easy cut. I'm not going to leave it in almost any deck. And in its place, Boss's Lieutenant. We're moving kind of into +1/+1 counter territory here. This card's amazing in counters decks. It's a human, again. That's already an amazing feat. You put counters everywhere. Board gets wiped. You're left with 2/2 still, and guess what? Can do a lot with stupid little 2/2s.
For those interested in the combo avenue for this Torens deck, Boss's Lieutenant is one of the cards that's going to start comboing when you add in free sack outlets, because when the tokens enter with counters, they make more tokens, and then you can like Altar of Dementia mill somebody with Kytheon's Crusade.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to add more combo aspects, you just got to add the altars. Next, we cut Swarm Shambler. I don't like this card at all.
Counters theme.
It fits the counters theme. It's not a human. It's a fungus, I think. I don't know what this thing is, but it's bad. We added actually kind of a win con, but it's really good at holding counters because, well, it puts counters on itself. Anyway, Champion of Lambholt. This is going to make all of our creatures unblockable. This is one of the win cons of the deck where if we just start going, it beats through. And guess what? It's a human BZ.
Yeah, we get to skip combat, and this thing's a giant monster. If we're skipping combat with this, it means this thing's like an 8/8, and that's going to smack somebody for 8 at least.
I mean, just that, and then all the rest of your creatures are not blockable as well.
Right, and it's like every creature we play doubles champion because of Torens. It's all 2. It's never just 1. So it's like, oh, this card's kind of slow. It's like, not really. Play 3 creatures, your team's unblockable.
Yeah, it gets going really, really fast. To the point that you're just. If this is an answer for a turn or 2, you're probably going to put away the game in those 2 turns.
That's a lot of cards in this deck. I'm seeing a common theme.
Is it counters and humans?
It's if they don't answer stuff in 2 turns, they lose.
Yeah, that's also fair. Hamza, Guardian of Arshin, is okay. Just okay. Not a human. We just don't need this reduction in this way. We have enough ramp. It's fine. This card, I'm not even saying this card's bad, but we just don't need it.
I think he just should be his own commander. It's so you need to take advantage of it. Like, if this is you have Hams in a deck, I want like 15 ways to make sure I'm not going empty-handed and I have X spells, and we're not going to bother with that.
In its place, we put Felidar Retreat. This card is just one of the best counters cards ever. If you weren't on a budget, I would have put all the fetch lands in your deck as well, because as soon as you put this card in, I might as well free roll right into all the fetch lands. This card's bonkers. I've played it enough that I'm just like, I love this card. I remember when a friend put it in the deck when it first came out, I'm like, that looks meh.
Me?
Yeah, you and Ken both put it in the deck, and I'm just like, that card doesn't look very good. And it turns out I was wrong. That card just is good.
Yeah, it's board state in a can, or when you have board state, it's beat you up in a can.
That's what makes it so good, is that it's both situations. Like, if you have nothing, it does something. If you have a whole board, it does something even better.
I should have known that any card, once it's in play, is Field of the Dead, but better. I should have known that was the best thing ever.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. That is fair. Field of the Dead, but better is BC's favorite card.
Well, in play. You got to pay 4 mana. Jiang Yangu, Wildcrafter, just kind of PU stinky. It's a creature that gives your static abilities to your creatures with counters on them. I would play Rishkar, if anything, but I don't think we even wanted that sort of thing in the slot. So instead we have Inspiring Call. Let's just make our guys indestructible, eat your heart out, Heroic Intervention, and then we'll draw a card for each creature we have, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's card draw combined with protection for a board. It's part of our counters thing. For Jiang Yangu, it's another one of those cards that when we were looking back through, or like Cemetery Protector, it goes in that same category where it's like, this card is fine.
Last few cuts.
But I have better things to be doing. This deck can just be pushed to a higher level on our budget, so it's out of here. What was our next?
It's on the script. It says Sigard's Summons.
Sigardian Summons, or
Sigard's Summons.
Sigarda's Summons.
It turns our countered creatures into basically 5/5s, or at least
flying
that big angels, and I don't know. When we have Crater Hoof in our deck, it's hard to justify stuff like this.
Yeah, exactly. This card is so much worse than a Crater of Behemoth. or any of the other win cons that we're going to go over at some point. Like
It's not bad. I mean,
worse-
it's fine on budget, but
Worse than Champion of Lambhole. Worse than Catherine's Crusade. All
Validar
the
Retreat.
Validar Retreat. All the things we're going to be adding. It's just not worth it because it's 6 mana, do nothing unless you already have a board state. In its place, you put this one in. What is it, BZ?
Yeah, the deck already had Good Fortune Unicorn, which just has our creatures enter with a counter. So let's put in Juniper Order Ranger, which does the same thing, except it gets bigger also. So if you play 5 creatures, you've distributed 5 counters, and this thing's going to be a 7/9.
Yeah, this works really, really well with our commander. Whenever we cast a creature, we get a token, trigger it, the creature then enters, triggers it again. It's going to get really big really fast, and our creatures are just going to be entering even bigger.
It's also good because it ensures that everything is going to be, like modified for Kodama or have a counter. If we're going to talk about some other cards that really want us to put counters on creatures, and this is like a little expensive, but I think overall worth it.
Yes. Another cut from like the kind of like win con-ish area, but it's like not necessary, and I don't even think this one's very good. It's Everbrook Caretaker. It's distributing counters very slowly for a 6 mana card, and it's never flipping.
Not reliably.
When you honestly, if you look at cards like Everbrook Caretaker, if you're not in a dedicated deck, like what is the name of the
Flash?
The werewolf guy?
Oh,
that's it. It's like
Tovolar.
It's Tovolar. You're either in Tovolar or you're not playing this card because you can never stay on the backside reliably. There is no world where this is a reliable, realistic thing to do. Double spelling is happening every turn, all the time. You just can't reliably keep it flipped. So the front side stinks, so we're not interested. If the front side is bad on the werewolves, we're not interested in it. We added in Armorcraft Judge. It's just going to draw for all of our countered creatures. It's amazing.
Yeah, Armorcraft Judge and Inspiring Call are part of the reason we want these Juniper Order Rangers, where it's like, let's just guarantee, the Kytheos Crusades and the KSs, let's just guarantee we have a sweep of counters on our whole team, and then we can have crazy payoffs like these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if they're not humans.
Yeah, they're just going to draw us a ton of cards. We cut Iron Root Warlord. I don't even know what this was doing in the deck. This is one of those. There's always, every video, no matter who made the deck, there's a head scratcher.
Just because it's like difference in deck building. And
of course. Well, I'm not
all
saying
that stuff. Not that they're being dumb.
Well, it's more. I didn't even. You said dumb.
Stop calling them dumb.
I said head scratcher. This is a head scratcher. What is this card? This card is like poop soup. It's like a French vanilla. We're not interested in French vanillas. We put in. This is where we stretch the budget a little bit. We stretch that budget. Branching Evolution. This card's amazing. Doubles your counters. Whenever you get 1 counter, you get 2. If you get 2 counters, you get 4. If you get 6 counters, you get 12. I could go on forever because there are literally infinite numbers.
Yeah, it's going to stick down in the field, and it's going to just make all these Kytheos Crusades, Validar Retreat, Mikaeus, even like Champion of Lambhole, just supercharge them. And they're just going to need to answer our stuff. It makes us like, this is easy mode because it says we have to do basically half of the stuff we would have done to win the game. Even all of our team has training with Torens and his tokens. They're all just going to get 2. It's just nice to have. It's like, hey, here's an extra counter.
Yeah, Branching Evolution is a very, very good card.
Works well with the next one we added.
I was just going to mention it. We cut Golta, Primal Hunger. This is fine. It's a 2-mana 12/12 with Trample. Our deck doesn't need that really. That's
how good we are. That's how good our deck is.
I mean, a 2-mana. The Golta is a fine card, but it requires you to already have a board state that probably needs to be wiped anyway, to then play another threat that adds to needing to be wiped. This is not. It's good. It's good in the right deck. This is not that deck.
That's why I like these enchantments. It's because you're like, oh, you're gonna have to wipe my board. But on the board, I have double my counters. Put a counter on all my creatures whenever a creature enters, and like make a 2/2. It's like you're just not gonna be able to wipe all that.
Yeah. So we added in Hardened Scales, 1 mana. Wherever we would put 1 or more counters on the creature, put an additional 1 or that many +1, however it's worded, on instead. You're just going to get an extra counter no matter if you're putting 1 counter on, you're going to get an extra 1 counter. If you're putting 6 counters on, you're going to get an extra 1 counter up to 7. This card is really, really strong. I want to say one card we couldn't make work in this budget because I wanted to add more lands was Ozolith. And I wanted the Ozolith in this deck, but I was like, when I suggested the lands yesterday, I was looking at the lands. I was looking at them like, this just needs a little bit of land fixing. I'd rather spend $10 on lands than $20 on one singular upgrade, but that's also a very good card for this deck.
Yeah, they're kind of the same card, Branching Evolution and Hardened Scales. They both are going to put 1 extra counter on, but they do also stack very well, where Hardened Scales makes every 1 counter into 2, but then Branching Evolution makes 2 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty nice. So they're just going to be basically the same card. I'll play a 3-mana Hardened Scales all day. It's going to make the deck go ham.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hardened Scales is very, very good, and Branching Evolution is very, very good. They're both just insanely strong cards in their own right. Sometimes Hardened Scales will perform better, and sometimes Branching Evolution will perform better, depending on how you're putting the counters on your creatures. Up next, we got Benevolence Bodyguard, medium 1-drop. I mean, this card's kind of just another one that I'm never going to play off of a budget of any kind, and we're not really on a budget. So I put in Thraben Inspector, just so much better for our package of 1-drops to get with our Ranger Captain of Eos.
It's just a cantrip. This is like such a good little common. I love Thraben Inspector so much. I started putting it in for memes, and it doesn't even perform bad. It really is just a good card. I'm going to be happy with it every time. It gives you the little cute thing of like with Ornithopter and Benevolent Bodyguard. It's like, hey, I paid 1 mana and I got a training token. It's like, well, yeah, you also got a card later.
Yeah, exactly. This card is it's not insane or broken or busted, but when it fits the theme of your deck, it does work well.
It's in all my decks that need 1-drops for things like, which is being cut for Luminarch Veteran. Luminarch Veteran's getting cut. We're cutting it. It's going away. That segue wasn't great, but neither is Luminarch Veteran. We're adding, though, Ranger of Eos, which goes and finds all these 1-drops, which is why I want things like Giant Killer and Thraben Inspector. Oh, it's so good. Micaeus even.
Yeah, there was already a ton already in here.
This deck has mana dorks. There's like 5 in here.
Yeah, there's a ton of mana dorks. This deck is going to just fetch them up all the time and feel happy about it. It's great that you get to play all the mana dorks in this deck because they just all trigger Torens. It's like late game, you don't want to draw mana dorks, but you don't mind when you have Torens as your commander.
That was a good call by Trevor. Good call instead of just playing like Cultivate.
Here's another 1-drop cut. It's actually Kytheon, Hero of Acrios. Card's not very good. It's not really a commander card.
We can flip it so easy, but then the back isn't that exciting. If the back was better, I'd say, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but exactly. There's no reason to flip a card that's poop on the back. And we added in Call the Copper Codes. This is one of the best ways to make tokens. The important thing for us here is that these tokens are 110% humans.
It's like 7 mana for clone all of your opponent's creatures as tokens. And then, yep, I'll take that every day. This is hard to beat this rate, especially when you can just pick the person who has the most creatures and make 3 mana for that many.
That card would be insane. The card you just
if it was Clone Legion, but it was 3 mana cheaper in an instant, yeah.
An instant, and
it hit every opponent, not just target opponent.
Yeah, even if they were just 1/1s, like this card's pretty crazy.
Well, this card's good too.
This card is also really crazy.
I know we have human payoffs in the deck, like Sigarda, Champion of Light, but we cut it for a different human payoff that makes more sense, I think. Thalia's Lieutenant, normally like such a crappy commander card, but when we care about humans and +1/+1 counters specifically, then it's actually just passable. I don't even think it's like the best card in the deck. It's fine, but I think it is worth playing.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to do what Sigarda was going to do of pumping our humans. It's not going to get us the card advantage, but we added card advantage in Sigarda's place. It's not like we're missing out on it.
It's not even reliable. Like, 4 mana with a hoop to jump through, draw a card every turn? Nah.
You have to attack. I mean, and that means you have to wait the whole turn to get the card, which is not very good. That's not where we want to be overall.
Where do we want to be?
Well, we're doing
elsewhere.
Elsewhere.
Segue to the next card.
Yeah, we cut Griff Wing Cavalry. Okay, this is actually the perfect replacement. Actually,
it is
1 for 1.
It's because of what Griff Wing does.
It's like, we're kind of giving flying and tokens.
And it's a human.
It's a human. What if we put in a different human named Abzan Falconer? And it cared about flying and counters.
Ooh.
And it did everything we ever wanted because it also made our whole team have evasion and just crack it. This is crazy because if you get like 3 or 4 tokens that can attack, it's tough to attack those ones that even if they're going to be 2/2s through because they're just going to get eaten up.
Well, they'll train nice and easy with flying.
Exactly. You'll just train them up and then get in with it. I love that this guy just calls falcons for everybody.
I also like that you don't have to do anything. You just play Torens, a couple doofuses, you play Abzan Falconer, and then the same turn you played Abzan Falconer, attack with Torens, maybe if he has a counter on him, or just attack with some big thing, and then all your trains, they all train and they get flying right during that combat.
All your trains.
Your trains.
Choo-choo! Here they come. We also cut Courser Crewfix. That card just kind of stinks. It's kind of card advantage. But it's much better card advantage, BZ?
What?
Beast Whisper.
Oh.
We're already playing 40-some-odd creatures in this deck. This is insanely high creature count, so Beast Whisper, obviously going to be very, very good.
Yeah, another thing that I'm thinking of with the combo version of this deck that I just can't stop thinking about it because that's how I brew in my head. We want so many cast triggers, so I was so tempted to put White Main Line in this deck, which would just be 2 mana, make a 1/1, or that makes me want to start playing Cloudstone Curio, which is a $60 card. So that's both out of budget and a little combo-y because if you have 2 1-drops, it lets you say pay 1 mana, get a training thing, not to mention ETBs.
Yeah, I think White Mainline is more of a mono white card because you can play cards like Pearl Medallion. But yeah, I do think it still would be good in this deck. Next cut was Arcane Signet. This was not up in ramp because we didn't have more ramp to add in its place. This deck was a little overloaded on ramp, actually.
Because we had like 5 mana dorks, plus, now we're going to have 3 visits and Soul Ring and Nature's Lore, all this stuff.
I mean, I honestly, I'm not an Arcane Signet in
green deck kind of guy.
Green deck kind of. I mean, I've seen this is a very common trend throughout Commander. People seem to do it and like it. I've never felt the need, and it's never seemed to bite me in the butt.
We'll be here to talk about it not being good until the day we die.
I mean, yeah, I just don't think it is very good. And we added in Shamanic Revelation. We're obviously going wide. This is just another way to draw buttloads of cards.
Sometimes you'll get the life for every creature you have, and that just feels like you're cheating.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Especially since we're talking about the metas where combat is going to be ending it. I'm going to gain 100,000 life. Good luck, people. Ronus the Indomitable is going away. I don't have an interest in Ronus.
It's kind of an overrun thing, but
I feel like 1,000,000 mana.
So I think this was I think that this card was gotten from like the popular cards on EDH Rec.
It was on there?
I would assume so, because what it does is it pumps power so that you can train. And I think that's the whole idea behind this card. It's not very good, though.
Let's just kill him instead.
Exactly. Like, this is kind of, let's just actually run through them with, like, true conviction. Give all of our creatures double strike and just absolutely get in there. Our creatures are going to be at least 2/2s when attacking. That's 4 damage. What are they going to do? They're going to be trading off unless they have a 5/5.
Also, they have lifelink, so it's impossible to race us. I mean, this card is not raceable. When you're the beatdown token deck, not happening.
No, not at all. I mean,
you can just freely go, whee!
Yeah.
Whee! And then people will be dead.
Yeah, another way to finish the game. We had Pathbreaker Ibex in here. Totally fine card, but I think you want haste with it for starters.
Yeah, you need a lot of haste.
I think that's really important for this card. Maybe if your commander gives haste, that's when I'm in on this card for sure. But we put in Chroma's Will instead. Why even bother with combat when we can just basically say, hey, my creatures are unblockable essentially by everything except for Ornithopter.
Yeah, they say math is for blockers, but look, we don't want to hassle our opponents with having to do math. It's just going to make the game take longer. It's going to hurt their brain. Let's just say double the number of damage you see here, you lose.
Yeah,
that's so much easier for them.
And what's another, just like True Conviction with this card, it doubles your life total up, and on top of it, however much damage you send in is how much life you're gaining. This card's bonkers.
Yeah, card's real good. It's going to be easy to have Torens because he's only 3 mana. I'm happy paying 3 for him, then 5, then 7. Once we get to 9 for Torens, then we'll talk. But the rest of them, I'm fine with.
Yeah, next cut was Kodama's Reach. Again, we were a little overloaded on ramp. We just don't need Cultivating Kodama's Reach in this deck filled with creatures. We added in Kyler, another way to win. Every time a human enters, he gets a +1/+1 counter. And however many +1/+1 counters are on him, they don't need to come from his ability necessarily. All your humans get +1/+1. This is going to go so over the top, insane, very quickly. This is another one of the cards in that class of category of, if you don't answer this in a turn or two, it will win the game absolutely 100%.
Every human is 2 counters on all your humans. It's like Kytheon's Crusade, but it's a body, and his name is Kyle.
His name is Kyle, or Kyle R. We'll call him.
There's Kyle and Kyler.
So now we're kind of moving into lands, but it's the last. So we went up 1 land. It was 34, went up to 35. I think that was totally fair for this deck. Cut Sylvan Anthem. That card just stinks. I don't think it's very good, basically at all. And in its place, added in Gavany Township. I mean, how much better is Gavany Township than Sylvan Anthem?
Very.
It's a land. It lets us go up on land, and it lets us just pump our team kind of like Sylvan Anthem does.
It's also repeatable.
It's repeatable.
Also puts counters on, so let's go with hard scales and all this stuff. I mean, we don't even need to actually say why it's that much better.
It's just a synergy piece for our deck that goes in a land slot. Gavany Township is not as in any deck that is reliant on counters and cares about this card. This card is amazing. It's the opportunity cost is nothing. You gave up a forest.
That's what the good part is. That's what the good part is. The effect is whatever. I'm not going to play a sorcery that does this. I'm not going to play something that makes me do it every upkeep. It's just fine. It's every once in a while you activate it, and you're happy to have it on exactly a land and nothing else.
It's opportunity cost, baby. It's all about that opportunity cost. It's nothing, absolutely nothing in this deck.
All right, for lands, we got 8 changes to make, and I'm going to list all the cuts here. Blossoming Sands enters tapped and gains a life. We can do better. It's a slow duel. When we have this much budget, I usually don't go to these tapped gain lands. Thorn Glint Bridge, same thing, but it's an artifact. We have no synergy for that, so I think it's worse than Blossoming Sands. Rogue's Passage. I'm usually on board for Rogue's Passage, especially in budget, but then I was like, what creature are we trying to sneak through? None of them? We're kind of just bashing people, and we're going to do 1,000,000 damage? or 1,000,000 damage. There's not really one creature that's going to get through. We also got 4 plains and a forest.
Yeah, those are simple cuts. What we added in this place, Path of Ancestry, we're a humans deck. Plenty of humans. I was gonna say, yeah, plenty of humans actually.
Indeed.
is what I meant. So we're just gonna get a ton of triggers on that. A couple of MDFCs, Kabir Takedown, awesome. We're a go wide deck. We're just gonna use this as a removal spell sometimes, and it's a tap land. Another tap land, Balagad Recovery. I mean, this is like a green staple for me. Unless you're on like hyper competitive, can't afford any tap lands, Balagad Recovery is going in every deck I'm making. That's green. Also added in a bunch of fixing. The rest of these are fixing lands. They're pretty simple. I'll go pretty quick. Sun Petal Grove, which is the
Check land.
Canopy Vista, which is the Tango land.
Battle land,
whatever you want to call it. Exotic Orchard, which is a cheap staple of the format that goes in every single deck.
Conflux land.
Overgrown Battlement is a slow land.
Overgrown Battlement, I think, is a creature that adds for defenders.
But Overgrown Farmland
that's
the slow land. And Branchloft Pathway is the pathway.
Yeah, that cycle of lands was like so underwhelming. I didn't like the way they did it at all, especially when they came out with 6 of them, and I'm just like, huh?
I like the pathways. I think they're super solid for 2-color decks, exactly.
But just that cycle just like really bothered me. Bothered my OCD because I don't understand why they did 6 of them at once, followed by 4 in a different set, in a different plane. Man, I hated it.
Yeah, I mean,
that bugged me so much. And the fact that you can't tell that it's a dual land, so you don't get the security. You know, I mean, you get the security when it's in your hand because it's either one, and it's totally fine. And it's basically a dual land, but you just can't tell when it's in play. These lands make me so mad. You gotta flip them. Oh man,
you gotta calm down. Okay,
that was my mad noise.
Total budget for this deck was $100. We spent $89.57. Damn, we're good. I want to say if you want to spend an extra, it would be an extra $7. I would put the Ozolith in. That's the ad. That's the ad. If you want to pick it all the way up to 100 and past, the Ozolith is the card that I couldn't quite fit in this deck. The original average mana value was 3.05. We lowered it to 3.03.
Does it get any better? How are we so good at this?
Think about this. Every spell you cast. Every single one, on average, costs 0.02 less.
Yeah, 0.02 mana less.
Is that?
Wow.
That's completely insane.
And we just did that for you.
Yeah.
How do we do it?
And 35 total changes overall. This deck turned out really awesome. I mean, I'm a huge Torens fan. I wanted to build this deck when it first came out.
You almost did.
I almost did. I really didn't get the chance to. And it kind of, the thing that kind of gets me about going with doing my tribes, it feels like I don't have flexibility enough to build my deck.
Not enough humans yet?
I mean, it just doesn't even, it's every tribe. Every tribe has a, 40 real playable, great cards for it.
You pick 35 of them.
Exactly. It's just and that's how, Goblins is cool. I've seen, my friend has a Goblin deck. She loves playing Goblins, and I absolutely love the deck. I can't do it. It's not unique. It just feels cookie cutter. All of tribal decks are extremely cookie cutter. Even though I think they're cool, I never end up playing them.
Yeah, they're better for us, I think, for shuffle scuffles, where we play them once and then we
exactly. But this deck, this deck is gonna crush people. It is extremely
run them over. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Woo!
Woo! All right. Well, that's our video. Special shout outs to all of our patrons, including Trevor Pug.
Pew.
No, it's Pug.
Pew.
No, Pug.
Pew.
No. I'll do it again.
Please don't.
Pug. He gave up. I win. BZ, tell them the other shout-outs that aren't patreon.com.
Yeah, because this video has to end, I'm going to do the shout-outs. TCG Player, affiliate link in the description. Buy the cards you were going to buy anyway. Because we start with the link, though, we get a kickback on the order courtesy of them. So it's no extra money for you, and you're just helping support your favorite channel in the entire universe. Also, Dragon Shield, best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
That covers multiple, all-known universes. The entire cosmos, if you will. That's just going to help the channel also, but you're going to go to that link, EU or US, buy the sleeves that you probably weren't going to buy anyways, but now because of us, you are, and then we get a kickback. Same dealio.
All right. Well, tidbit about our lives. Now you've made me curious with your wording. Isn't the cosmos just our universe?
So the cosmos, as far as I know, is everything that exists. It's like just the subset of literally everything.
Okay.
So there's our local presentation of the universe, and then there's the universe. And then there's the cosmos, which is just if there's a multiverse or whatever, cosmos fits all that crap.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, that's got to cover the tidbit, right?
I,
Do you have any other universal things to talk about?
no,
Cosmosian.
I mean, I find the universe extremely interesting when looking on a scale.
Don't think about how small you are. Oh, too late. You already are now.
I mean, so I guess one little thing that always is interesting to me is the potential of the Great Barrier. That the reason that the reason that no other life has found us, or we have found no other life, is because there's some barrier that can't be breached by civilization life. That have we reached it? Can we are we coming up on it? Have we it's like the question is, have we passed it and just we're civilization got past it, or is it ahead of us and we're just going to hit it and we're not going to be able to go anywhere?
The barrier being whatever is stopping us from intergalactic travel.
Yeah, exactly. What is the barrier?
It's probably the speed of light, right? Or was it
there can be anything.
Leaving the planet maybe or something?
It can be anything. It could
colonization.
It could literally be infinite number of things. It could be anything could be the barrier. But
it could be having a YouTube channel on your planet called Mr. Beast, which we've already done.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've passed the barrier.
Once you have that channel, you cannot.
Until you've had that channel, you can't travel.
Well, no. We've passed that barrier.
Right.
Oh, so now we've passed the Great Barrier is Mr. Beast YouTube channel.
I mean, there's other alien civilizations, and we know this for sure because we have telescopes and junk. We see them trying to leave the planet, and as soon as they leave the atmosphere, with their rudimentary ships and stuff, or maybe even their more advanced ships, they just get this error message and it says, "No Mr. Beast detected," and the ship explodes. Because without a critical mass of clickbait on the planet, you can't pass the atmosphere.
Peace out, Tribe Scouts.